Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Pinterest. And we're going to be talking about the key elements every pin should have, how to activate rich pins, the pros and cons of pinning directly from Etsy, and why I create my own pins and link them to Pinterest manually. So if you want to learn how to properly post on Pinterest and create pins that will not get lost in the feed and drive clicks, make sure that you watch this video all the way to the end. Also stick around to grab my free Pinterest SEO strategy guide to help you optimize your profile and pins the right way. Now, if this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, consider subscribing today. I do upload weekly videos to help you grow an impactful online business. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you be the first one notified of any new videos I upload. So let's head over to my computer to get started. All right, so let's talk about how to post on Pinterest. So we are going to cover the following. We're going to talk about the key elements of a pin, how to activate rich pins, the pros and cons of pinning directly from Etsy, and why I create my own pins and link them to Pinterest manually. Now, these are the key elements of a Pinterest pin. You want to make sure that you use only vertical images. You want to stay on brand by using your branding colors and fonts. You want to use large click-worthy headlines so your text should be easy to read, that when people see it, there's no confusion on what exactly they're getting. You want to make sure that you brand your pins by adding your Etsy URL or logo. The reason why you want that is because over time, when people start seeing your brand over and over and over, they'll start remembering you as a brand. And these are two pins that I found on the feed. The one to the left is optimized correctly. It's a vertical image, is optimized for Pinterest. This is the size that they want you to do. It has their branding colors. It has font that's easy to read. And then in the bottom, it does have their URL. So for branding purposes, they have done a really great job. Now, the one to the right is a pin that someone pinned directly from Etsy, from their Etsy store. So therefore, it's a square. And it's not optimized correctly for the Pinterest feed. So therefore, it will get lost in the feed when you have these other ones that are optimized the right way. And I used to pin directly from my Etsy store all the time. And I quickly started noticing that my pins weren't getting clicked or not as much. And the minute that I started optimizing all of my pins the right size, that's when my Pinterest game changed for me. And this is the reason why I'm doing an updated video on how to post on Pinterest. Now, I also want to talk about how to activate rich pins. And rich pins add extra details to pins by adding the price. It adds the title and description. And this is pulled directly from your actual listing on Etsy. So this is why it's so important that you take your time on every listing and you are accurately describing what you're selling, what comes included, because that data is pulled directly to your pin. And when people are reading it on Pinterest, that's what's going to make them want to either go and visit your store or not click. So always keep that in mind. Now, the great thing about having rich pins is one of the benefits is that if you ever have to make any changes to the listing, let's say the price, the title, or the description, all of the pins that you already pinned already on Pinterest will be updated automatically. That's the perk of having the rich pins. In addition to that, the great thing about it as well is that it does provide the buyer the actual price of the item. And when someone sees the actual price, it gives them the ability to take action and say, okay, I don't want to buy this, or I do want to buy it. So it does increase the likelihood of someone clicking and buying because they actually see the price. And I guess they've done a lot of studies, and when people see pricing next to the pin, it just entices people to learn more about it for some reason. So I totally get it because I do buy a lot of stuff from Pinterest as well. And I do tend to click on the ones that have pricing more than the ones that don't. So I kind of get why having rich pins is something that's really important. And keep in mind that as an Etsy store, you don't have to do anything additional to get verified and get active rich pins. As soon as you start pinning your products on Pinterest, it can take the first try 24 to 48 hours for it to appear. But eventually, when you go back to your pin, you will see the pricing and you will see the data that was pulled directly from Etsy. So that's something that you don't have to really worry about, whether you are pinning directly from Etsy or you're pinning manually, meaning that you uploading your image and uploading it to Pinterest yourself. Either way, it will actively activate rich pins because it will recognize it's coming from Etsy. If you have like a WordPress or your own website, apart from WordPress, you will need to do like a plugin where you will need to copy like a metadata, put that in your website to verify, and that could take 24 hours. So it's a little bit different, but on Etsy, you don't need to verify, which is really nice. So it should be a simple process for you. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons of pinning directly from Etsy. So the pros are, it's easy to share from Etsy. So you will go to your listing, and I will show you in a few minutes how to do so. You will go to your listing, you will find the listing that you want to promote, and there's a little toolbar, and you click on the Pinterest, and you will be able to save it to one of your boards and share on Pinterest. It automatically has your rich pin details, like we just mentioned, your title, your price, and description. And like I said, if you ever update your listing, it gets updated automatically on Pinterest. You don't have to go back and manually edit every single pin. So that's really, really great. Now, the cons is the image is not optimized for Pinterest. So you're going to get whatever size image you use on Etsy. That's the size image you're going to be pinning. Most likely is going to be the square that Etsy recommends for their site. And as a result of not optimizing your Pinterest correctly, your Pinterest pin, it will get lost in the printer's feed. And you will most likely have less clicks on Pinterest, which was the main issue I was having after pinning directly from Etsy. So just keep that in mind. That is the cons. So why do I create, my own pins? Well, and then link them manually to Pinterest is because I'm able to create perfect Pinterest images with my brand in mind that drives clicks. They don't get lost in the feed and they stand out. So ever since I've been doing that, I have gotten better results. This is of the feed right here. And just to kind of give you an example, you see the two pins that I was showing earlier during the slides. So you have the pin with the tropical palm. As you can see, it stands out. But then you have the smaller pin on the right side on the bottom where it says home. And it's just getting lost in the feed. And you don't want that. You want your pin to be optimized to correct size so people could actually see it and get enticed to click to learn more about your products and services. And this is the main reason why I create my own pins. I upload it to Pinterest. Then I link them to my Etsy store. Yes, I do have to manually put in my pin description. I don't mind it. The rich pin actually activates because my pricing is there, but I do manually enter my title and manually enter my pin description. But for me, it gives me the best results, and that's the reason why I do it. Now, I do recommend testing it out. It's all about testing because maybe you do pin directly from Etsy and you don't have that issue, right? I don't want you changing your strategy if it's working for you. These are just my recommendations based on my experience, on me checking my own stats and seeing what pins were performing better versus others. And this is what I found out. When I was pinning directly from Etsy, they weren't performing as great as when I was creating optimized pins that are optimized the right size for Pinterest. And I'm going to show you an example of both right now. So let's head over to my Etsy account. All right, so here we are on my Etsy store. And let's say I wanted to pin this to Pinterest. This is one of my listings. So you have the option, right, to pin from Etsy directly to Pinterest. It's very simple to do so. And if you did this strategy, it doesn't take too much time to do so. And that's just the reason why I was always sharing it directly from Etsy, and because it's something that's allowed. And all you need to do is click on, this is your toolbar. If you go to Pinterest and you click on save, It will let you share on Pinterest and you could save it to one of your boards. I will put it on my Etsy shop. It lets you save it, and you actually could go ahead and see it if you want to, kind of like preview it. And it's going to pull the data from the actual listing. And once I head over to Pinterest, it will show the pricing as well. But as you can see, the picture is not optimized the right size for Pinterest. So you always have to keep in mind when you're sharing your content, whether it's on Etsy, on Pinterest, on Instagram, Instagram story, maybe YouTube, right? Every channel or every platform has different sizes, and you have to be careful that you don't share the wrong size, because sometimes on those platforms it could potentially lead to less clicks and less visibility because it's not optimized for that platform the right way. It could be truncated, it could be getting cut off. So these are things that you have to learn, unfortunately, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. But as you can see, when I share it, it's a square. So what I do now, instead of sharing it directly from Etsy, is that I manually create a pin. And it does take more time of your day. You could definitely outsource this for someone else to do. If you want to hire a virtual assistant that is really good with Canva that could create the pins for you, you could definitely hire someone else to do the pins for you. But this is what I normally do. This is the type of pin that I would create. I put my logo, I put the actual product in the middle, I put a little description of whatever I'm selling, and then I put, the name of whatever the product is. You see the pricing comes up here. All the data is getting pulled directly from my listing, even though I manually, right, updated it myself. Now keep in mind that when you update it yourself, the pricing still comes up, but the information is not getting pulled directly from your listing description. You will have to manually enter it. So that's the downside of manually doing it yourself versus when you do it directly from here, it pulls all the information for you, the title, the pricing, and the description. When you do it manually, it only pulls the pricing. Everything else you will have to do. However, for me, it is more time consuming, but it is way worth it if I'm getting more sales. The ultimate goal is, how can I get more sales? And if you have pins that are getting lost in the feed because they're too small, and the ones that are optimized, the standard size for Pinterest, are getting more attention, then you're gonna not want to promote anymore on Pinterest because you're gonna say this doesn't work, which it does. It's just you have to make sure you optimize. And just in case you're wondering, the size that I use is 800 by 1200, so 1200 in height and 800 in width. Now, Pinterest does recommend 2:3 ratio. As long as you keep that ratio, you're fine. But that's the one that I use, 1200 by 800, and it works really, really well for me. But this is how I properly pin on Pinterest to get more clicks and more drives back to not only my Etsy products, but also my website, my affiliate marketing, and other products that I promote on Pinterest. If you enjoyed this video about Pinterest and learning a little bit more on pinning the right way, let me know. Give me feedback so I can know if these are the type of videos that I should be creating as well in the Etsy channel. Thank you again for watching, and have a terrific day.